Welcome to the deep dive. Ready to explore some mind-blowing ideas?
Always.
Awesome. So today we're diving into David Deutsch's The Beginning of Infinity.
Oh, fantastic choice. That book really shakes things up.
It does. We're going to tackle some big topics like what is knowledge, really?
Interesting.
And are there limits to science?
Okay, I see where we're going with this.
Exactly. And the big one, can we actually achieve unlimited progress?
Love it. Deutsch tackles all of those head on.
He does. One image that really stuck with me was it was about looking at a distant galaxy cluster through a microscope.
Oh, yeah, I remember
You
that.
just see this tiny speck, right? But because of scientific theories, we know it's actually this massive, fiery furnace millions of light years away.
Right. It shows how much is hidden beyond what we see directly.
It's wild. Like, there's this huge gap between what we see and the vast reality we can understand through, well, explanations.
That's exactly what Deutsch calls reach. An explanation's power to go beyond our immediate experience and accurately describe things we can't even observe.
So it's like we can't actually visit a star, but with astrophysics, we can figure out its composition, its life cycle, all that stuff.
Exactly. Reach allows us to understand things we could never experience directly.
Powerful stuff. So how does reach apply to everyday life? Can it help us learn better or solve problems?
Absolutely. It shows us why explanations are more powerful than, say, rules of thumb.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What's the difference?
Well, think of the cups and balls magic trick.
Ah, classic.
A rule of thumb might let you predict where the ball is, based on what you see before, but a true explanation reveals the magician's method. Then you can predict the outcome, even if they change things up.
I see. So if I understand why something works, I can apply it to new situations, not just follow the same steps blindly.
Precisely. Which leads us to Deutsch's concept of a good explanation. One that's hard to vary because every detail is crucial. Change even a small part, and the explanation falls apart.
Makes sense. It's like finding the perfect puzzle piece. It fits just right, and if you force it, the whole picture breaks.
Perfect analogy. Now, this ties into being wary of what Deutsch calls parochialism.
Parochialism.
It's the mistake of thinking that quirks of our own perspective are universal truths. Like for centuries, people thought the Earth was the center of the universe.
Oh, right. A very Earth-centric view.
Yeah.
Are there other examples that might still be influencing us today?
There are. Think of the popular spaceship Earth idea, emphasizing our planet's fragility. It's a wake-up call, but it can also suggest that Earth is uniquely special.
Yeah.
Then you have the principle of mediocrity, which argues Earth is probably typical, not unique. Both are trying to correct parochialism, but from opposite angles.
Interesting. So even when they seem to contradict, they're both pushing us to see beyond our limited perspective.
Exactly. It all links to knowledge friendliness.
Knowledge friendliness. What's that?
Deutsch's idea that most environments, unlike, say, space, are actually good for creating and sustaining knowledge. Knowledge is what makes a place truly habitable.
So it's not just about finding a planet that looks like Earth, but finding a place where knowledge can thrive.
You got it. Now, let's shift gears to how knowledge evolves. Deutsch describes neo-Darwinism as a theory of replicators, not just limited to genes.
Right. He talks about memes, too.
Ideas that replicate and evolve just like genes. But biological evolution has a limited reach. Adaptations work in specific environments, but don't easily transfer to new ones.
Like those birds he mentions that can only fly short distances because they've adapted to a small island.
Exactly. Their reach is limited by their genes.
Gotcha.
He contrasts this with the potential of human knowledge, which can solve problems universally. He uses the example of building a self-sufficient colony on the moon. It's a huge challenge, but with the right knowledge, we could extract resources, create breathable air, even grow food.
So, with enough knowledge, we can overcome almost any environmental challenge. It's about expanding our understanding, not just our physical abilities.
Exactly, which raises a fascinating question. If knowledge is this powerful, why haven't we found other civilizations out there? The Fermi paradox.
Right. If there are other intelligent beings, shouldn't we have seen some sign of them by now?
Deutsch suggests that the ability to create the kind of knowledge needed for interstellar travel might be rarer than we think.
So the bottleneck might not be finding the right planet, but developing the right kind of knowledge.
And that leads us to computation. Deutsch argues that all digital computers, from simple calculators to supercomputers, have the same fundamental abilities.
Wait, really? So a basic calculator could theoretically do the same calculations as a supercomputer?
In theory, yes. It just might take millions of years. He also points out that digital computers use error correction to overcome physical limitations. It's a core principle.
Mm.
Problems are inevitable, but they're solvable. And here's where it gets interesting. He suggests the human brain is also a universal computer, capable of understanding abstract things like math.
So we're like walking, talking computers.
In a way, yes. He uses Douglas Hofstadter's domino computer thought experiment to show how even simple physical events, like dominoes falling, require abstract explanations.
Wow. So even a chain reaction of dominoes has hidden complexity when we try to fully understand it.
Exactly. Now buckle up, because we're about to enter the realm of the multiverse. Deutsch proposes that the physical world is actually a multiverse, with our universe being just one of many histories.
Okay, things just got real. Tell me more about this multiverse.
He uses the idea of fungibility to explain it. Things that start out identical can become different. Think of identical twins. Same genes, but they develop unique personalities.
Right, so they start the same but end up distinct. How does that relate to the multiverse?
Deutsch uses a thought experiment involving a malfunctioning transporter that creates an effect across vast distances by sending information between universes.
Whoa, that's trippy. So our universe is connected to other universes.
Exactly. Just like layers of rock tell us about Earth's history, the multiverse's branching histories show different possibilities. But these histories are separated, creating the illusion of a single world.
So even though we experience one reality, there might be a whole network of possibilities out there. Mind-blowing.
It is. What's more, Deutsch connects this to a universal computer's ability to simulate different universes, suggesting it might explain why our universe seems fine-tuned for life.
So maybe our universe is just one configuration among countless others, and we happen to be in the one that works for us.
Now you're getting it. But this is just the beginning. Next time, we'll see how these ideas about knowledge and reality connect to human progress, morality, and the future.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Last time, things got pretty intense with David Deutsch's The Beginning of Infinity, all those ideas about knowledge, the multiverse, good explanations.
A wild ride.
It is. Now, I'm curious how these ideas play out in real life. Decision-making, building societies, figuring out what matters.
That's where it gets really practical. Deutsch argues that understanding knowledge has huge implications for how we think about progress, values, humanity's future, all that.
Okay, lay it on me.
He starts by taking on justificationism.
Justificationism.
It's this idea that knowledge needs to be validated by some external authority, some set of rules. Deutsch says it's flawed because it limits what we can know, how we learn.
So instead of looking for one ultimate truth, we should be constantly testing, refining our understanding based on evidence, reasoning.
Exactly. It's a process, not a destination.
Makes sense.
Then he tackles social choice theory, trying to define the will of the people from individual preferences.
Okay.
But he says it misses a crucial element, creating new options.
So if we're just picking from what's already there, we're trapped in our current thinking. True progress needs new choices, not just choosing from the same old menu.
Exactly. And he even gets into voting systems and how complex they are, like apportioning seats in a representative government. He uses the U.S. House as an example. How many seats each state gets depends on its population, but how those seats are allocated, well, there are different ways to do it, and they can lead to weird, sometimes unfair outcomes.
I never thought about that. Like, just dividing up seats in Congress could be so complicated.
That's the point. Even seemingly simple systems have hidden complexities. Then he shifts to Karl Popper, who had a different way to judge political systems. How easily can you get rid of bad policies, bad governments, without violence?
So it's not just about who's in charge, but how peacefully you can change things when they're not working.
Exactly. A safety valve to prevent explosions.
Love that analogy.
And Deutsch argues that in societies that value knowledge, critical thinking, systems like plurality voting, are more effective at this than those aiming for proportional representation.
So the candidate with the most votes wins. It makes politicians try to appeal to lots of people, and if they don't, well, they're out.
It's a feedback loop, pushing toward better solutions.
Interesting.
He sees a link between this and how scientists find objective truth. Politics is messy, but by creating systems that prioritize open debate, the pursuit of knowledge, we get closer.
So it's not about fighting over who's in charge, but working together to solve problems, create a better future, no matter your political views.
Now let's switch gears to truth and beauty.
Okay, this should be good.
Deutsch argues that art, like science, seeks universal truth. He uses flowers as an example. Their beauty is independent of humans. It evolved to attract pollinators.
Wow, so beauty isn't just in the eye of the beholder. It's woven into reality itself with a purpose beyond our preferences.
And he even suggests human sexual selection might be converging on objective beauty, but very slowly.
So our sense of beauty might be shaped by evolution, not just culture.
He also compares creating new art styles to scientific research, both pushing beyond what we know, seeking knowledge with universal reach.
Like, true artists and scientists are driven to explore the unknown, create something new and meaningful, right?
Exactly. And just wait, he suggests future art might create beauty we can't even conceive of now, involving new senses, qualia, things we can't imagine.
Whoa, that's a wild thought, expanding how we experience reality itself.
Now let's dive into memetics, the study of ideas and how they spread. Deutsch says cultures are made of memes, just like genes, competing for survival. But memes need their own ways to replicate, existing in our minds and actions.
So it's not just an idea, it has to spread, influence behavior, like a virus, but for ideas.
Perfect analogy. And there are two main ways they replicate. Some help their holders, encouraging them to spread the idea. Others disable critical thinking, making you less likely to question them.
So some are helpful, some are like mind control. A bit creepy.
He talks about rational and anti-rational memes, often fighting each other.
So a battle between reason and dogma.
And he says static societies, the norm for most of history, suppress creativity, rely on anti-rational memes for stability.
Change is seen as a threat. The goal is to keep things the same, even if it's based on bad ideas, like being stuck, afraid to try new things.
Precisely. He suggests the West, post-Enlightenment, is in a weird in-between phase, moving from static to dynamic, embracing reason, open-ended knowledge creation.
So we're still figuring things out.
He then circles back to human creativity. He argues that it was actually developing all along, even when it wasn't so obvious.
Even when things seemed stagnant.
He uses Easter Island as an example. Amazing statues, but their culture collapsed because they couldn't adapt. Creativity trapped in a dead end.
So progress isn't a given. We have to nurture our creative potential.
Which brings us to Deutsch's optimistic vision of progress as a potentially infinite process, driven by ideas.
I love that. Tell me more about this infinite progress.
He contrasts it with the pessimistic view that progress is finite, will run out, which resonates with you more.
I'm definitely more optimistic. History shows we're resourceful, resilient, we face challenges, but we find a way to overcome them, move forward.
And he'd say that's because progress is about ideas, not just resources or geography. He critiques sustainability as a goal, saying true progress solves unforeseen problems, creates a better future.
So if we just preserve what we have, we're not ready for what's next. We need to keep pushing forward, expanding our knowledge to truly thrive.
He uses examples like Paul Ehrlich, who predicted doom from overpopulation in the 70s. It never happened.
The pessimists are always saying we're doomed, but human ingenuity proves them wrong.
He connects this to climate change. Instead of just predicting the worst, we should focus on solutions, adapting and thriving as the climate changes.
Being proactive, not reactive. I like that.
And that leads us to the singularity, when AI surpasses human intelligence.
That's a hot topic. What's Deutsch's take?
Here's the twist. He says a true singularity, where AI is fundamentally superior, is impossible.
Really? Why?
Based on his ideas about computation, human creativity, he argues that even super-intelligent AIs wouldn't be fundamentally different from us in how they understand, create knowledge.
So it's not us versus them, it's finding ways to work together.
And that's the end of our exploration of the beginning of infinity. It's been mind-blowing.
It has. I feel energized by his optimism.
What stood out to me was the power of good explanations. It's not about facts, but about understanding, challenging assumptions, creating explanations that hold up. That's what drives progress, opens up unlimited growth.
It makes this whole journey so exciting. Always more to learn, explore, create. And as he says, that potential is infinite. Welcome back to the deep dive. We've been exploring David Deutsch's The Beginning of Infinity, with all these amazing ideas about good explanations, the nature of knowledge, even the multiverse.
It's been a wild ride, so much ground covered, from like the limits of science to how we make decisions as a society, and even, beauty and memes.
And through it all, this sense of optimism about human potential, the idea that progress doesn't have to end. But I'm wondering what this actually means for us, like day to day. How do we create this kind of progress?
That's the key question, and Deutsch tackles it directly. He argues that human progress has always been driven by ideas, not just stuff or where we live. It's about how we think.
So it's our creativity, problem-solving, willingness to change things up that really makes the difference.
Exactly. He points out that for most of human history, we were kind of stuck. Same
Yeah.
tools, same social structures, same limited view of the world for centuries.
Like on repeat.
Right. But then something shifted. The Enlightenment. We started questioning things, thinking in new ways, applying reason to problems like never before.
And boom, scientific revolution, industrial revolution, all these incredible breakthroughs.
Exactly. Deutsch argues that embracing reason, the pursuit of knowledge, that's what unleashed this creative explosion that's still going strong.
It's wild how powerful a few new ideas can be, like changing the course of history. Makes you wonder what we could achieve if we keep this going, this open-minded, problem-solving way of thinking.
And that's what makes Deutsch's work so inspiring. It's not just about understanding how things are, but imagining how they could be, and then making it happen.
One thing that really hit me was his idea that we are universal explainers, that we can understand anything in theory. No limits to what we can learn about the universe.
It's a huge idea, and it means we have a responsibility to keep learning, exploring, pushing the boundaries of knowledge.
We're not just watching, we're actively shaping the world with our ideas, our actions. Well, it's exciting and a bit scary, isn't it?
It is, and it raises some really deep questions. If knowledge is unlimited, what does that mean for free will? Consciousness, the meaning of life.
Whoa, now we're getting philosophical. Think Deutsch has any answers for those big ones?
I think his ideas give us new ways to approach those questions. By focusing on knowledge and the potential for progress, he pushes us to think bigger, be more optimistic. We're not just at the beginning of infinity scientifically, but also philosophically in how we understand ourselves and the universe.
So it's not just about finding answers, but asking better questions, expanding what we think is even possible.
Exactly. That's the beauty of it. There's always more to learn, more to discover, more to create. And that potential is truly limitless.
Well, I'm feeling pretty inspired. How about you? It's been amazing exploring these ideas. What really stuck with you?
For me, it's the optimism, the power of good explanations, and that idea that progress isn't optional. It's vital for solving problems, building a better future.
Couldn't agree more. Deutsch gives us a powerful way to counter all the negativity out there. A reminder that we can understand the world, we can solve problems, and create a future that's meaningful.
It's a call to action, to keep learning, keep asking questions, keep pushing those boundaries.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the beginning of infinity. We hope you enjoyed it.
And remember, the quest for knowledge never ends. We're all in this together, so keep searching, keep exploring, and keep pushing the limits of what's possible.
Until next time, keep diving deep and keep seeking those good explanations.